Hey everybody, welcome back to another video about geology in media. And today we're going to be talking about video games. More specifically, we're going to be focusing on a little MMO called Black Desert Online. You may have heard about it, possibly for infamous reasons in regards to its economy, combat, or progression, but I'm not here to talk about any of that. I'm here to discuss the geology within the game, and more specifically, the rocks in the game that you can mine. If you know anything about geology, you may be curious as to why these rocks are named the way they are, and if it holds any significance. I'm here to tell you why it does, and how well the game represents real-life geology. And in the games I've reviewed so far, it does a fairly impressive job on representing rocks, likely making many petrologists out there extremely happy if you discount the fairy dust that you can find. Moving on, the 4 types of common rocks that you can find in the open world of the game are feldspar, granite, diorite, and mossy rock. In these rocks you can find tin ore, copper ore, and other various rocks. Besides that, there are rare and uncommon rocks that you can find scattered about on the mountains or hidden in cliffs, such as coal, mudstone, sandstone, pure iron ore, pure lead ore, pure tin ore, pure copper ore, zinc, topaz, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, ruby, and finally sapphire. There's a couple of things that I'd like about this list and a few I don't. To explain, the names of all of these rocks are pretty cool. You don't see something typical or generic like boulder or node like in some other games. Rather, these developers took the time to give these rocks proper names like we do have in the field. First of all, we have feldspar, which is the most common kind of mineral that we'll find in the world, mainly around the Heidel area. Feldspar is a mineral group, not exactly a rock. Feldspar in the general sense contains a variety of rock-forming tectosilicates within 3 end members bearing potassium, calcium, and sodium. Albite is the sodium end member, anorthite is the calcium one, and K-spar or potassium feldspar is of course the potassium one. The one that we see in the games is usually on the lighter side, meaning that it's likely not on the potassium end, and in case you were curious as to how you'd know that, well, potassium feldspar is typically salmon colored, although there are of course exceptions to this, like with microcline, and then you have amazonite on top of that, which is a variety of microcline. Nonetheless, it's difficult to say, and I doubt the developers had any intention of being that specific, although it would be cool if they were. Anyway, there are big chunks and even boulder-sized grains of it, but you typically won't find a lot of these rocks out in the wild, or call them that. You wouldn't call them feldspars. And for this one, which is just an igneous intrusive rock, you wouldn't really find pure feldspar without any mafic minerals, which are typically dark in color, micas, or quartz. And on top of that, you definitely wouldn't find any iron ore in these deposits. If you want that, you definitely have to go find something called banded iron formations, or just a place where you'd find deposits of magnetite or hematite, which will probably be in banded iron formations anyhow. And for those other ores, you typically want to look for sedimentary layers that have been exposed to hydrothermal veins. So just finding copper ore or tin ore straight out of a granitic or dioritic intrusion like a dike or sill just won't happen. The key is hydrothermal activity, not just direct igneous intrusions, which is how we form granites and diorites, depending on the composition of the originating magma. Lastly, for common rocks, we have the mossy rock, which really isn't anything special and really doesn't do anything in allowing us a better understanding of the composition of the rock itself. So typically you won't have geologists describing any rock as just a mossy rock. So unfortunately, I don't really have much to say about this one. Now we have more rare ores and rocks of the game. What is extremely important and significant to me is that the elements I previously mentioned, silver, gold, and platinum, really can occur in nature as what we'd call native elements. Native elements are metals that are found pure in its metallic form, and therefore does not need to be extracted or further processed by any means like iron ores, which I previously talked about. Only gold, silver, copper, and the platinum metals occur in nature in large amounts. Gold, of course, would be the most well-known of the native metals. Some of these native metals, like gold, can also form in ores, which could mean that extraction is required. But anyway, these elements don't have ore next to their names, which is technically correct, and I like that. So if you don't know why some of these commercially valuable minerals or gems don't have the word ore attached to them, now you know why. Although by that logic, zinc should technically be classified as a zinc ore, since it isn't a native metal that occurs in significantly large amounts in nature, and therefore would be classified under a different kind of mineral that has maybe a high purity of zinc, so it wouldn't just be zinc by itself. And that brings me on to my next point. Why are there rocks called pure copper or pure iron ores? what exactly is that supposed to mean? It's an ore, which is inherently not pure in the material you're trying to extract. It's not really an industry term either, so you can call some of these high purity in the element that you're extracting, like with hematite and iron, but it's not exactly pure, which in my mind, and I believe in many others, insinuates 100%. You think pure? 100%. So take that for what you will. As for the sedimentary rocks like sandstone, you won't be finding much larger crystals growing out of them like with igneous rocks, unless you're talking about something like gypsum, calcite, or quartz veins, or even significant chunks of opal, where you can find if you mine sandstone, which personally makes me pretty happy. And I mean, it wouldn't really make sense if you hit a granite and then, something like opal popped out. And from the actual coloration of the rocks to the geographic location of them, deserts to plains to mountains, it all makes sense from a geological perspective. You can see the natural progression from Medea to Valencia, and everything just makes sense. And from an environmental design perspective, it is seemingly perfect to me. And I gotta say, the art team for the in-game environment is simply amazing, and I gotta thank them for it. It's simple to make sure that you don't find granitic rocks in the middle of a sand dunes or cliffs out in the desert, but you don't really see many games or MMOs going out of the way to make that a point or bother with tiny details like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something new. If you have anything you'd like to ask, games or shows or movies to suggest, please leave a comment down below. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.